Hello, welcome everybody. And we're going to get started with the Stop Wasting Time workshop. So let's not waste any time. And I'm going to start us out with some prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit. Please help us learn what you want us to learn this hour. Please open our minds and our hearts. Please show us ways that we might be wasting time, that we can be drawing closer to you. Please help us to lean on you more with our time and not feel like everything is up to us. And on the day before your feast of the Divine Mercy, we just ask that your mercy pour out for us and for those who need it most. In Jesus' name we pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So we're going to get started, and most people have used Zoom, but if you haven't, you can use, down on the bottom, there's a chat. Feel free to chat. Tell me where you're from. If you have any questions, you can put it in there. You can be anonymous if you want. Also, you can Q&A me, and you can also be anonymous there. If you want to be anonymous, that's fine. Otherwise, I might use your name, I might not. So just feel free to chat, and I'm going to get started with. So welcome to the Stop Wasting Time workshop, how to calm your mind for a happier, holier you. So I'm going to start out with teaching the model. And the model is something I learned through the life coach schools where I got certified to be a life coach. And it's basically that everything in our lives can fall into 5 categories. So we're going to just run through it briefly. If you want more in depth, you can go to episode of my podcast, number 7, and that teaches it a little bit more in depth. But we'll just go through it quickly again because I use it all the time. So this is the model, okay? Everything in your life can go into 5 categories. It's a circumstance, a thought, a feeling, an action, and a result, okay? So circumstances are things that happen in your life, okay? A lot of circumstances are things like we can't control, or they just happen at work, kids, it's a circumstance, okay? But when you model things out, a circumstance has to be a fact, okay? It has to be provable in the court of law. You can't put adjectives in there. You really want to be careful. You aren't going to put your thoughts in there because a lot of times our thoughts try to sneak in there. So you're going to put facts, no adjectives, and it's going to have to be neutral, okay? So if there's a situation that came up where the other day I was frustrated because my kids weren't cleaning their room, right? And I asked them 5 times. So in there, you can put, ask kids to clean their room. They didn't. Okay? It's neutral. It's a fact. If I'm still worked up and heated about it, you're going to calm down first before you decide to model it out. Okay? Calm down. Say, nothing's go wrong. Kids have messy rooms all the time. Okay? It's just a fact. That's what happened. And if you do put like that, where I said, okay, I asked the kids to clean their room, I'm going to put in there exactly what I said. You're not going to put I yelled, because that's not a fact. I can't really prove it. Yelling varies on the person who hears yelling. Like sometimes if I raise my voice just a little bit, somebody thinks it's yelling. If I like, other people are like, oh no, like they didn't yell at all. Like yelling is when you really raise your voice. Okay. So just put facts in there. And then thoughts are the sentence that goes through our mind when this happens. So if the kids didn't clean their room, the thought that goes through my mind is they should listen to me. Okay. Keep it simple. You want a simple sentence. You don't want to get it complex and start bogging it down. And we can't control our first thought, right? Because we're human, but we can control our second thought. Okay. So once I realize, oh, I'm having this thought, they should listen to me. Okay. That's probably the first thing that pops into my head, but I can calm my brain down and I can say, I'm going to choose something different. And when you choose that different thought, when you choose to be intentional with your thoughts, that's what we call an intentional model. Okay, we're just running through the unintentional, like the quick, this is what your brain goes to. A feeling then is what comes from when you think that thought. So when I think my kids should listen to me, I feel angry. So you want to pick one emotion, and it's not a physical feeling, right? It's an emotional feeling. You want to pick one and pick one that's the strongest and feel it in your body, and then describe it. Describe it to yourself. Where is it at? What color is it? What does it look like? Is it hot or cold? All the things. Okay. And then from our feelings, so if I feel angry, then you get an action. So actions are all the things that you're doing or not doing from that feeling. Okay. It can be very obvious down to a little thing. So I might roll my eyes and I also might yell, right? The rolling the eyes might be less obvious. I might have tense body language. I might cross my arms. I might stomp around. Okay. Those are things that we're probably not even aware of that are a little less obvious to us, but other people around us certainly see them happening. Okay. I see, Cassie, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? You want to put it in the chat? And then I'll keep going. Okay. I'll open the chat if you chat something in there. Okay, so we want to gather all of our actions, everything we're doing and not doing, right? When I'm angry, I'm not going to pause and pray. I'm probably going to overeat because that's what I like to do. So I'll go in the cupboard and I'll start grabbing something to eat. And then your result is what all your actions combined do, right? My thought is the kids shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be acting this way. Okay. And our result is either an exact match of our thought, it's a reflection on ourself. Okay. Like that one is, right? They should be doing that. No, really, I should be doing that. Or else you're gathering more evidence. A lot of times I like to say if more evidence one is usually when with my husband, right? He doesn't love me is a thought I have a lot. Well, then my brain is going to gather more evidence. And the result is I'm going to have more evidence to prove that he doesn't love me. Okay. So I'm going to put in another example. Okay. Just so we kind of get this down. Okay. So a circumstance might be going to bed at 10 p.m. Okay. What kind of thoughts come up for you with that? Some people that might be late. Some people may be like, oh my gosh, that's really early. So what thoughts come up? There was somebody who put in one of the Facebook groups about when she tries to get to bed earlier, she feels like she's missing out on quality time with her husband. That's her only me time, right? Because she has young kids. So those are her thoughts. Okay, I'm missing out. Or I'm skipping me time. So you're really going to sit with, okay, which one probably comes up more? I'm skipping me time, right? That's what we really feel when the kids are younger and they have a lot more physical needs. Like that's often the only time of the day when you can like sit down, put your feet up, just be like, oh, like great, take a breath. So I'm skipping me time is the thought that comes up. If I go to bed at 10 p.m., I'm skipping me time. And then I might feel annoyed. Right? Because why did the kids need so much from me? Right? My husband should help out more. Okay, those are all different thoughts. We're just going to focus on I'm skipping me time and I feel annoyed. And then from that, I probably stay up later. I'm pretty stubborn, so it would be just to prove the fact of like, look, I can stay up. Like, I'm not going to go to bed. Those kids aren't going to control my time. Okay, so I'm going to stay up later. I'm going to watch TV. I'm probably going to just sit on the couch. I'm going to scroll on my phone during the commercials. I'm certainly going to grab a snack, right? I'm going to eat because I'm tired. So I'm going to eat. Okay, and I'm not going to get anything done. I'm just going to sit there. So I'm not going to, we'll say, I'm not going to be productive is what we'll say. Okay. And then my husband might be there, but typically, like, we would just watch TV, right? Like, we wouldn't talk to each other. We wouldn't spend quality time together anyway. So I'm going to put not really talk to husband, or certainly not quality time. Okay. And then the result you're going to get from this is you're going to continue to skip out on your time, on me time, right? Because none of this is really beneficial. I mean, it might be good to sit down and like watch TV for a little bit, right? But typically what ends up happening is we end up watching like an hour and a half, way longer than we wanted, right? Because every show is at least 30 minutes, if not longer. So then you're going to continue to skip out on me time. Okay, that's your result. So I'm going to do another example. So another person had wrote in with, okay, what happens when like they have projects due for work and then they tend to spend a lot of time on the one project, and then the second project, like you run out of time and so you're rushing to try to get that one done. Okay, so let's say I have projects due for work. We have 2 admissions that are due tomorrow, and I have to update 5 care plans before IDT tomorrow. So for you that don't know, I'm a nurse, and that was typically what would happen, right? Like you have charting. And so the IDT is basically like our report that we'd have every 2 weeks. And you had to get all the care plans updated because then every 2 weeks, everybody would sign off on the care plans. So you'd have your care plans that you have to do. And then let's say for me, projects would be the 2 admissions. Okay. And the thought that goes through my mind is I have so much to do. And I feel panic, right? I feel it in my body. I feel it in my chest. It feels like a rubber ball is just bouncing inside my chest, like up and down and everywhere. Like it just feels so tingly and just like, and it mostly stays in my chest. It doesn't radiate out. And I would say it's like a bright orange. It's like a fire, panic, run. Okay. So then my actions are I stay up worrying about it. I got so much to do tomorrow. I have so much to do. Go to bed late. I don't sleep well because I keep thinking about everything. Then I stay in bed past the alarm because I'm now tired. I yell at my husband and kids that I'm trying to get out the door. I get to work. I check in my emails, right? I don't get started right away. I check my emails. I talk with my coworkers. I don't say no to other projects that people ask for help on. Then I finally start on the admissions and care plans, but I rush the work. And of course, I'm snacking the whole time. Then I get home and I yell at my husband and kids more at all the things that need to be done around the house that aren't being done. Okay. And then my result is I keep finding evidence of all the things I need to do. My brain is just looking for, you need to do this, you need to do this. Okay. Another example. Okay. Get home from work. This one, somebody was talking about trying to get dinner made in a timely manner. So, circumstance, we get home from work around 10:45. So notice we put it, we want to try to be exact, okay? Because our brain likes to be dramatic and we want to be exact. Get it home around 5:45. And then she had 2 small kids, a 3-year-old and a newborn. And then they eat around 8:30 p.m. And her thought was, we should be eating sooner. So then you might feel shame or failure, which I would say, like, just pick one, right? Whichever one feels stronger in your body. So probably failure. And so instead, what she said they do is her and her husband sit down, they start relaxing when they get home, they scroll on their phone, they put their feet up when they first get home, they talk about how they should start supper, maybe ask the husband what he thinks you should have for supper, right? You keep talking about, but not actually doing it. And then you end up just packaged food, maybe throwing a pizza, and then you stay up late. And your result that you keep getting from the thought we should be eating sooner is that you don't end up eating any sooner, right? Because you're not changing your thought to be like, I'm learning to eat sooner. How can we eat sooner? Okay. Okay, so this one happened the other day for me. So we had, I don't remember how many people coming over, but I just had 15 people coming over for Easter. And everything needs to be perfect, right? I have this one a lot. Everything needs to be perfect when people are coming over. And then I feel pressure. So my actions are procrastinate till the last possible day. Then we start cleaning, and our brains are so good at wanting to distract ourselves. And so I focus on cleaning out like the closet or junk drawer instead of cleaning up the living room, right? All of a sudden, like I need to scrub down the cupboards and the baseboards and do all the things. Nobody even notices those things, right? So I do that instead of cleaning out the living room, the main areas. I'm yelling at the husband and kids, stress eat. I worry about all the comments that will be made. I stomp around. I complain that no one listens to me. And you might check messages from work and then you roll your eyes, right? And your result is you're showing up not even close to perfect, right? Your actions are not perfect. In fact, they're a mom, showing up as a mom you don't want to be, okay? So now we are going to move into the one thing that you guys need to start getting hours back in your day, which is, first off, realizing how much time we all actually have. Okay, if anybody has any questions, be sure to put them in the chat and I'll cover those too, okay? So everybody has the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. We have 7 days in a week, which equals 168 hours in a week, okay? So let's say we're gonna sleep 8 hours a night. Some might get more, some might get less, right? But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to put 8 hours every night of sleep. 8 hours of sleep times 7, right? Every day. That's 56 hours minus 56 hours, okay? So we now have 112 hours left in our week. Then let's say you work a full-time job, okay, 40 hours a week. And even if you're a stay-at-home mom, right, I would include that to be like the laundry, the dishes, running kids back and forth to school or different activities. I would say that's like your job, okay? So 40 hours a week. For a job. So we're going to minus 40 over here. And that gives us 72 hours left in the week. So now let's say 4 hours a day you do for like showering, getting ready for work, and cooking. Let's say this meal prep, okay? Or even I was grocery shopping, right? Like that takes time. So if you do 4 hours a day of that kind of stuff times 7, it goes 28 over here. Okay, so even minus your 28 hours for all the extra things, right? You have 44 hours left in a week. 44 hours of just, that's not including sleeping. That's not including your job. We even factored in extra hours, right, to shower and all the things. You still have 44 hours in a week. That is a lot of time. So what are you doing with that time? A lot of time our brain likes to procrastinate and we don't want to do the project, right? We don't want to go clean out our closet. We don't want to do those things until we're smack dead against a deadline, like having people over or a deadline for work. And then we panic and then we rush around and we do all the things and we think, oh, like procrastinating works. It doesn't work because just imagine your life if you use those 44 hours every day to get forward in life, to spend time with your kids, to go on walks, to go do whatever you enjoy, right? Like you now maybe have the time to 3 times a week take a bubble bath if that's what you want to do. Like I personally am not for bubble baths, but if that's what you want, like you have that time to do it. But instead, our brain likes to tell us like, oh, we don't have time. And it doesn't like the discomfort of not having enough time. And so then it distracts us with other things, right? My phone is a good one. It likes to be on my phone. I like to just watch mindless Facebook videos. Okay. And then I talk with my husband about it and complain. So then that takes even more time. I don't know how many times like I'll sit there and I'll watch a video and be like, I'm just gonna finish this video. And then of course we talk about it for 20 minutes. So now an hour has gone by where I did nothing essentially. Okay. So the key to all of this is planning your hours, making a schedule, and then sticking to it. Okay. I'm going to show you what I mean, but what comes up for you when I say that? Because I know the first time somebody told me, like, all you have to do is plan your day. Okay. And the life coach school is called Monday Hour One. And I tried it 1 week and I was like, this is horrible. This will not work. I have 6 kids. There's no way, like, this won't work for me. And then the last couple months, I really decided to get curious about it, to really see. And so my mind shifted into different thoughts. Okay. What if everything that needs to get done will get done when I plan it out, right? Planning is self-care. Okay. So when you plan, we're going to talk about like kind of my plan, and everybody's, of course, like varies and differs, right? And then changes in schedules, right? Kira said like kids and random changes in schedules. And I have the perfect example that that happened just today. Okay, so I'm going to show you my plan, and I'm going to kind of show you what I do and show you how when I first started doing this, like I just did blocks of time. Okay, so this is what I mean by that. And also too, like our brain likes to, again, be all or nothing. So when I first started this, my brain was just saying like, I'm going to do that. I have to like sit down and it's going to take me 4 hours. It didn't. It takes me maybe 1 hour in the beginning when I was first doing it, maybe 1 hour. Okay. Now I can do it faster, but I do like to do reflection questions and kind of journal as I'm doing it. So it personally takes me probably about an hour still. And I kind of like to do it slow while I'm drinking my coffee. I do it Saturday morning. Okay. My husband and I like to just stay in bed, sleep in Saturday mornings. And so then that's the time where I go get my cup of coffee and I sit there and I have my planner and I like to plan out my week. Okay. Because for me also, like I do a week at a time. I know some people like to do more than a week, but for me, there's just with 6 kids, like things kind of change and things come up, and there are variables. And so 1 week at a time is perfect for me. So maybe 3 days at a time is perfect for you. Maybe you want to do 30 minutes on Sunday and plan the first 3 days of the week. And then Wednesday evening, you plan to do another 30 minutes, and then you plan the next 3 days. Okay. So I don't know. Yeah, I think you can see. Okay, it's kind of small, so I'll just explain. So it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just take a sheet of paper and just write in like Monday and then put down, okay, work. I work from these hours to these hours. That's something I have to go to. So the first thing to do is put in the times where the things like are set. Okay, like working for me, it's going to mass on Sunday. Like those are set things. Every Wednesday, the kids have faith formation on Wednesday night. So Father offers adoration. So I have a set time. I go to adoration for a little time, then we go to mass and we eat at the church as a family, and then we come home that night. So that's Wednesdays are a little bit different, but I put those in. Those are the set things. Okay. So put in your set things. Work, work, work. Okay. Work. And then I also like to put in supper and lunch, because my youngest is home with me. So I like to put in lunch and lunch prep. Okay. So put in the things that are pretty set. Okay. Now you can see your chunks of time in the morning, daytime. Okay. If you're working, and then evening, you can see what you have. And I also like to put what time I'm going to get up in the morning and what time I want to go to bed, because then I know exactly, okay, these are the hours I have. So if you're first starting out, I would just put, maybe you get home from work, you're going to do rest. You're going to rest for like 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. Put that down. Also planning your rest. That's the next thing you want to cover is rest times. Okay. And self-care time. Okay. Things that are fun, things that you want to do. So you're going to first put the block of time things, then you're going to put the fun things and the things you want to do. Okay. Because we want to have time for those things. A lot of times, those are the things that get pushed to the side because we just think, oh, I don't have time for that. And those are the things that then go to the wayside. And instead, all we do, we take that time anyway, right? We take it by scrolling on our phone, watching a TV show, just sitting around or sleeping. We take that time anyway. So just plan for it. Just plan that in. So once you have your set things like work, supper, and then put in your fun things, okay, then you can fill in the other things that are left. So like for us, Saturday, we do we clean the house. And then I like to have my husband help me with like little chores around the house. Okay. So I know that come Saturday, I can have a little honey-do list, right? And sometimes it's bigger things that take kind of all of us as a family, like cleaning out the garage. That one, it's nice when all of us can do it together because it gets done faster. The kids can help. If there's things like they want to get rid of, we can get rid of them. So we all do it together. Or there's other smaller things like maybe hanging a picture on the wall. That my husband can do. I show him maybe like the spot I want it, but then I can go do something else. Like maybe my office desk needs to be cleaned up. So maybe I'll come do that and then he'll go hang the picture, right? We divide and conquer for other things. So put all those things in. Now, what I've found is that I have a lot of time left over for mindless activities, right? I take so for example, on Saturday, I like to sleep in, then I do my schedule in bed while I drink coffee. So that's about 8:30. Okay. And I do that until 9 or 9:30. Then we do chores for a little bit, like an hour. And then we do meal prep and lunch. And usually we do something easy like chicken nuggets, mac and cheese. Like lunchtime is really easy for us. And then after lunch, we take a nap. The kids watch a show. My husband and I take a nap. And then in the afternoon, when we get up, okay, so sometimes we might even we don't set an alarm. So sometimes we might sleep till 3:30. Sometimes we might sleep till 2. Like it just kind of depends. Like we're pretty easy going. And then we'll get up and do projects around the house for like an hour and a half, which you can get a lot done. And then we do supper, and then we clean up supper and chores. And I also put in like cleanup and chore time after we eat a meal. We do the dishes right away. We put them away. Kids sweep the floor. We all help, right? And then we kind of have a little bit of time in there, usually like to watch a show as a family or a movie if we're watching. Right now we're watching Alaskan Bush People as a family. So we do that. And then we get the kids ready for bed. And then my husband and I come out, we watch TV again, and then we go to bed. And that's my Saturday. Okay. So it doesn't have to be over the top, I gotta plan every minute. However, the more you find that you start doing this is the more detailed your days will get. So it's easy when okay, this is my project around the house time. Throughout the week, I just have a list and I add things to the project list. So I know when the time comes, we have an hour and a half and okay, these are the ones I want to get done first. Those are my top priority. We're going to focus on those. And then if there's time left, I'm going to do these other little things. Okay. But once you write it down and put it on a list, your brain doesn't have to keep thinking about it. That's the other thing is once you don't plan your day, you just think about it all the time. I had put down, okay, I had to write a thank you note for a lady for a year, right? And I didn't think it'd been that long, but I went to go write it the other day and I was like, it actually was a year, to the date. She wrote the date on and I was writing it a year later. And it's oh, this is ridiculous. But I hadn't wrote it down. I hadn't planned it in anywhere. And so it just kept going through my mind. Every once in a while I'd be like, oh, I still gotta write that thank you note. I should write that thank you note. And then I'd forget about it, right? Things would happen and I'd forget about it. So it would take up space though in my mind for this whole year. It feels like you lose hours with how your mind focuses on things. So once you write it down, you don't have to think about it anymore. And you feel like you get hours back in your day because your mind isn't constantly going, oh, I should do this. I should do this. There's just no time. Let me pull up my phone again. Oh, there's just no time, right? You start to realize like how much clutter is going on in your brain with those thoughts. And once you start to manage those thoughts and say, no brain, we're going to brainstorm everything that needs to be done. Okay. So when I do my schedule, this is kind of my overall schedule, but then I also schedule my work days. So I have this planner where it goes, it's more in depth. It has each day. And then I itemize the things that I want to do, my work hours. Okay. So I plan down, I do a bulk schedule, and then I plan down, okay, my work time. Because what I found was that, okay, I have set hours for my work, but what do I need to get done? What's a priority? What should I get done? Okay. Okay. Kara says, how do I make myself do what I plan? Great question. So the key is to tell your brain, we planned this during a calm time, right? Like on Saturday morning when everything's calm, I planned my plan. Okay. I planned it, and I'm going to trust my plan. I'm going to follow through with my plan. Those are thoughts I say. Okay. And then I also like to tell myself everything that needs to get done will get done. Because when the day comes, my brain likes to be like, shoot, we forgot to put this down. We forgot to put this. We better put this down. Like, no brain. I sit with that discomfort for a minute of maybe that thing won't get done this week. I'm going to write it down, make myself a note so I can put it on my schedule for next week. That might not get done this week. Okay. But I'm learning to trust myself. That's another thought I like to have. I'm learning to trust myself. I'm practicing making a schedule. What other ones? I mean, you have to talk your brain into it because your brain will say, no, don't stick to this plan. So you want to talk your brain down and say, yes, I do want to stick to this plan. I made this plan. This is a good plan. That's another thought you can have. This is a good plan. Nothing will go wrong by sticking to this plan. And then the other key is feel the discomfort, right? Just sit with that feeling of discomfort, of the fear that maybe not everything will get done. Like maybe you forgot something, or maybe even the discomfort of, I really don't want to get off my phone right now. Make yourself do it. And then after a couple weeks of doing this, I would say even a week, after practicing and be like, wow, that really did work well. Your brain will start to make a new neural pathway to say, oh, we can trust her. We can follow through with this plan. Right now, our brains are very engraved with it works to put it off and it works to procrastinate. But that's a lie. And so we're not going to believe that lie anymore that our brain wants to tell us. Okay. We're going to say, I'm going to follow through with this plan. This is just practice. And then I also like to try to slip into the feeling of like curiosity. Okay. I like to look at somebody who got so many amazing things done in their lives. So I like to look at like Mother Teresa, Mother Angelica. I like the mothers apparently. Like I like to look at those people and be like, how did they get it all done? Like for one, they prayed about it. They relied on God, right? Which you can be doing as you make your schedule. Ask God what he wants to show you for the week. Get curious, right? And then make your schedule and then follow through with it. And be curious, like what worked this week? At the end of the week, say what worked this week? What didn't work this week? Be like, I really forgot a lot of things. I'm going to write them down right now. Or maybe I'm even going to have like a running separate notebook to say, or in the corner of my schedule, I'm going to have like a little area. I have a little area for notes, that says, then I just write down the things I forgot. Or the things that if I have time during this week, let's say I'm going to put out my weekly email and I get that done in 15 minutes and I planned 30 minutes. Now I have 15 minutes where I can go to that spot and I can say, oh yeah, I forgot to put this on the schedule. I'm going to do that right now. Okay. And the other thing too is our brain likes to get distracted easily. So I find that it helps to set a timer. It helps build that muscle of being able to trust yourself by setting a timer and sticking to what the time you allotted. So if I do projects around the house and I'm only gonna do it for an hour and a half because then we're gonna do supper prep, I like to set a timer because what happens is if I get busy and I'm like, oh, I think we have time for this, or it takes a little longer, get good at saying, no, this was my cutoff time, I'm gonna stop. Because then if that goes longer, supper prep gets pushed back farther, which means supper gets pushed back farther, which means the kids' bedtime gets pushed back a little farther. So build in like times when, like try to think of everything, right? When you look at when I look at my projects list and I think, okay, this might take 2 hours. If I'm curious, what part of it can we do that then we can stop or we can reassess halfway through? I was gonna say something else. Now I can't remember. But oh, I know. Also, when you are planning, okay, get ready for work, right? A lot of times it's hard to get out the door on time because we underestimate how much time it will take. We look at something, we say, oh, I have to leave by 8 o'clock. So as we're laying in bed, this is what I do. I hit the snooze a couple more times. I like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then all of a sudden I'm rushed and I'm panicked and it's not fine. Okay. So plan in the time. If you like to hit the snooze like I do, then I just set my alarm clock earlier because I like to hit the snooze. Like my husband hates it, but I like to hit the snooze. I like to feel like, oh, I got a few more minutes. So I plan that in. Also plan in if you have to make your lunch that day. If you have to, I don't know, grab something before work, like plan that in. Really plan in the time that is going to take for everything. And that's part of being curious and brainstorming and really thinking of every step through. What happens if people keep asking you to do things like go to eat? It is so hard to stick to your schedule for a whole night, especially when you can't say no. Or you answer a phone call that lasts an hour or more. Okay, so here's the other thing. Get good at being uncomfortable to say no. Or if you absolutely don't want to say no, then just look at your schedule and be like, okay, what other things can I cut out? What doesn't need to be done today? Okay. We like to, okay, I say me, Midwesterners, right? We like to be so kind and polite, but in a way, it's kind of passive aggressive. And we're the ones who suffer for it, right? Because we end up sticking around longer. Like, I don't want to say goodbye. Like, oh, I feel rude, right? I feel bad if I have to leave. Okay. That's just a thought that you're having. You're having a lot of guilt. So maybe let's model that out. Okay. So circumstance is people ask you to do things. Let's say somebody asks you to go out to eat. Okay. Go out to eat. Now, are you saying like if this comes up during the day, like, or is it they ask you, it's like Monday and they ask you for Wednesday? I'll clarify, Raquel. That day. Okay. So someone asks you to go to eat. Okay. So your schedule is full, you planned it out, and you think, I can't say no. And then you feel, what do you feel? Guilty? I'm gonna put guilty, right? Because I can't say no. Yes, okay, guilty. Okay, so you feel guilty. Your actions are then you don't follow your plan. You go to eat. You probably stay there longer than you want. The whole time you're thinking about everything at work that needs to be done. You're also probably thinking, how can I leave? How can I get out of here? Right? Like, how can I make an exit? Okay. So again, like your mind is just ruminating on not being present. Okay. So you're ruminating on I would say made up problems, right? Like you're just ruminating on all the ways that like you shouldn't say no, you should stay. So we're gonna say mine's ruminating on made up problems. Right. And then you get back to work and it took longer than you thought. So now you're rushed and panicked and you're behind for the day. You're probably rushing around, um, panicked, which is okay, that's a feeling. We won't put there. You're rushing around. Usually when that happens, I would always go grab a snack or grab like uh a pop or another coffee, and then like it doesn't make me feel good. So probably eating um snacks and junk food, which contributes to more yucky like physical feelings. And then your result is you're saying no to yourself. Like you're not following through with your schedule, so you're saying no to yourself. So you can say no, it's just you're saying no to yourself instead of the other person. So let's do an intentional model then, right? Let's say the same thing, right? And that's what if you go from an intentional model to an unintentional, right? This is unintentional. Okay, somebody asked you to go out to eat. Now we're going to be intentional with our thoughts. So the circumstance doesn't change. It's only our thoughts that need to change. So someone asks you to go out to eat. Okay, let's start with how can we get curious? How can we have this situation? How can we still go to eat if we want to? But how can we adapt it? So, from a place of curiosity, I would say my thought would be I'm figuring out how to make this work. I'm a good problem solver. I can figure this out. Okay. So I can figure this out. I get curious. Okay. Now, what are some of your actions? For one, you could say no. Okay. It would be uncomfortable. But if the worst thing that happens when you say no is you feel uncomfortable, you feel a feeling for a little while, and you sit with that feeling and you allow it to happen, it will go away in 60 to 90 seconds. So are you willing to say no and be uncomfortable for 60 to 90 seconds and follow through with your plan and supporting yourself? Or would you rather go out to eat and then figure out the rest of the plan? I mean, either way is fine. It's just, what would you rather do? We'll plan, I'll just model it through of, okay, you're gonna go out to eat. You're gonna make this work, okay? You don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to feel guilty. So you're going to then, what actions would you take? I would say message the person and say, yes, but I have to leave at this time. So set a hard stop time. And then with that, you might have to be uncomfortable for a minute to say, I have to leave. Okay. Maybe you have to cut them off in the middle of their sentence. Maybe like for the most part, people are understanding it. Like they know that it's a busy time. And if they know going into it, like, oh, they're making time for me, like people appreciate that. And they know, like, yep, go, like I got it's fine. Like you might want to set a timer. Okay, you might decide to pick a place, like maybe they suggest like a sit down place. Maybe you want to be like, actually, like I don't have time for that. Can we go to a faster place, right? Fast food or something. Maybe what else? Like there's so many things. Like you could, okay, you could look at your work when you come back to work, or even let's say it's in the evening and you come back home and you had planned to do all these things. What are you willing to adapt and change? What are you willing to not get done for the day? Okay, so you can look at your calendar and eliminate things. You can reschedule things. You can, if you, and the other good thing too is like once you start planning out your days, you can look at and say, okay, I'll have a chunk of time in this day, like I can move that to that day. Okay, like you'll get good at maneuvering the calendar because you'll realize you have extra time to fit things in places. Okay, and then your result is you'll figure it out. Like I also just want to offer that there is a choice to say no. Okay, so there's a choice to say no, I'm not going to go right now, and just know that then you can practice feeling the feeling of guilt and discomfort. You can also go and you can practice the discomfort of saying, I have to leave. Okay, no, I have to leave. I have a friend where she has walked out of family celebrations because I can be like, I can take off work from this time to this time, and most of her family was late, and so she left. She's like, okay, great to see you. I'm leaving. Like I told her I have to leave in 15 minutes, and she just left. So we can do that. We have a choice. And those people will have their thoughts, right? They'll have their feelings, but that's their model. You practice showing up for yourself and starting to trust yourself and build that new muscle of no. I don't like how I'm living. I don't like living in the chaos and the stress. Procrastinating doesn't really work. I'm going to try a new way. Okay, and then just get curious about it. Okay, Kira says, what about when my kids are sick or extra clingy and not just letting me get stuff done? How do I stick to my plan without feeling resentment? Good question. Okay, and Raquel, if you have any other follow-up questions, put those in there. Okay, so what I like to do is once I have my set kind of schedule, right? You can see where there's extra pockets in the day to move things, readjust them. The beautiful thing about this also is I find then like I have time to work ahead. I have time to plan the days, and then like for my podcast, for example, I'll record like 3 at one time, and so they're set out, right? Like there so many things now you can schedule. You can schedule your emails, you can schedule whatever to be great. You can schedule it all. Blog posts, I think you can schedule. So all the things you can schedule. So what things, again, I would look at and say, okay, what needs to be done today? Okay, the kids have to eat. And maybe that's it. really. Like, maybe that's the only thing that has to be done. Okay. And I would also say, just feel the feeling of resentment, right? Like, it's hard when our plans get disrupted. It is hard. It brings up feelings. We don't like it. We think, what's the point? Why do I even try? My things always get pushed to the side. Okay. And it's hard to not to have feelings come up because we're human, right? But just accept that and say life is never going to be 100% planned. It just won't be, because that's life. And so to sit with that and say, okay, I'm going to feel this feeling of resentment. I'm going to feel, where is it at my body? What color is it? Like for me, again, like I feel everything like in my chest. I don't know why. It's in my chest. With resentment, it can radiate like out farther because I'm like, my hands tense up. I just get like really tense. I almost get borderline angry when I get resentful. And so just feel that. And then if it helps, like, I mean, writing down things always helps. So write it down, write out everything that you're mad about, write it all. And then from that, take it and then model it out. Okay. And it really does help to write things because it processes through our brain a different way. But if you don't have the time, just be like, okay, I'm going to feel my feelings for 60 to 90 seconds. I'm going to go in the bathroom. I'm going to lock the door, or go in some room in your house where you can lock the door. I'm going to lock the door. I'm going to allow this feeling. Like I'm just going to allow it. Okay, now it's passed. Okay, what absolutely needs to get done today? Okay, I need to feed the kids. What else? The youngest hasn't had a bath in 3 days. I should do that. Like if I have time for that. Okay, what else? Oh, they've been puking all night. I need to wash the sheets, or they're not going to have clean sheets. Okay. List the things that actually need to get done. And then just realize that there are going to be days like that, and it's not a big deal. Nothing's gone wrong. This is human life. This is having a family. This is just life, right? Like some days we get sick. I was sick on Easter, and so at first, like I wanted to cancel. I didn't want to have people over, but my husband was like, "No, I can do it. I can cook." And I'd already had like some of the stuff prepped and stuff, so it was fine. And like the other thing too was like it's really uncomfortable for me to let go of control. I wanted to be out there double checking, making sure that he made the things right. But like honestly, I was sick. And at some point I was just like, it is what it is. Okay. Like it is what it is. If the green bean casserole somehow gets screwed up, right? It's mostly canned things anyway. So be it. It'll be one thing that's maybe doesn't taste perfect. And I just feel the feeling of feeling out of control, really. I feel out of control right now. Okay, what can I control? Nothing. I'm sick. If he has questions, I can let him know I'm here. I'm here for questions. And that's about it, right? I can encourage him. Okay, I don't have to be in there being like, did you do this? Did you do this? What about, like, I don't have to nag him. I don't have to undermine him. I can just let go of that control. And it was fine. Like everybody said, he did a really good job. Nobody got food poisoning. So it was great. So I also too, I like to have kind of a backup plan day, like, because we all know things are gonna go chaotic and astray. Like, especially if you have kids, multiple kids, like if they get sick, that usually knocks us out for like a week. So plan those days where, okay, what does my day look like when I do the bare minimum? And plan it when when the kids aren't sick. Plan a sick day protocol for you, for your kids, and just say, these are the things I would need to get done so I wouldn't feel behind. And then just know feeling behind is a feeling, is caused by a thought, probably of thinking I'm falling behind, and just realize you can feel that feeling at any moment and change your thought then. Okay, I hope that helps. I'll give you another example quickly here about my day today. But okay, Raquel says, thanks for answering. Maybe I just need to schedule one free night and then it can be moved around as needed. That's perfect. um, yeah, I also saw somebody the other day said with their schedule, they do that. They plan so many free nights. So then they just know. And actually I think it was with exercise. They plan to exercise 5 days, knowing that then they have 2 extra days to move it around if there's a day when it doesn't happen. So that's great. That's a good way to problem solve. So, and it's good to problem solve when your brain isn't in that like flight or freeze mode, right? Like panic when you're calm, saying, okay, we're just going to get curious. We're going to figure this out. Kira, let me know if you have any other questions. So, for example, for today, okay, I planned on getting up this morning and doing my schedule. And then I was going to come in here and have some lovely time for prayer, reflection before this workshop. Well, I woke up at like 6:30 this morning and my allergies are just so bad right now. Things are finally melting around here and are so bad. So I woke up sneezing and I had such like sinus pressure and I had a throbbing headache. So I went back to bed. I'm like, I know this is gonna kind of put me behind, but it's like I'm choosing this right now because I'm choosing to take care of myself in this way. So I went back to bed. So then I got up around 9 instead of 8 like I had planned. And then I stuck to my plan still. I grabbed my calendar and I at least jotted down the main things that I want to get done this week. Okay. I brainstormed the things that I want to get done. I didn't exactly put them in their slots and put everything down, but I also know that um I'll have time to do that the next few days. That's why I like to do my planning on Saturday. And I also plan for days like when we're going somewhere Saturday or we're out doing things, like I do it a different day. I do it Friday night after the kids are in bed, or I'll do it Sunday. But I plan for that. I put that in there. So, and then my oldest daughter, she was gonna play in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, found out we couldn't find enough people, so she wasn't. And then last night we found out that one of the girls from the 7th grade couldn't go. So now she's going, and that's where my husband and kids are at right now. And so this morning it was like, oh, how are we going to do this? Okay, we also need milk. And then my sister-in-law invited us out to her house tonight so graciously because one of her daughters had a birthday a couple weeks ago and we couldn't make it out then. So now my whole schedule is just gone, right? Like I was planning after this workshop, I wanted to go out of town for a while, maybe go to shopping, just relax. Like all of that has gone out the window, which again, it's fine. But then it's okay. I don't need to panic. How can I problem solve? So my husband's like, okay, I was going to try to get over there to watch part of the games. But then it's like, okay, that's a lot of driving, a lot of vehicles because the town's like 40 miles away. And I was like, we still need milk. We need a couple things. And so he's like, why don't you do your workshop? He took all the kids to the games. And so he has them. And then I'm going to run to town quick, grab a couple things, and then I'll be back. We're going to reconvene in our house and then drive out to my sister-in-law's for tonight for supper. So we figured it out, right? But I still found myself this morning because I laid in bed longer, panicking, like, oh, I'm going to run out of time. I'm going to run out of time. Oh my gosh, it's almost 11. It's almost 11. Like, so then I had to take my own advice. I had to calm myself down. I felt the panic feeling. It's like, okay, what needs to be done right now? I wouldn't have had to shower, right? Like you guys don't know if I've showered or not. I wouldn't have had to straighten my hair. I wouldn't have had to, I helped the kids, like I helped my husband run around like packing little bags so they're not bored watching these basketball games. I wouldn't have had to done that. Like I did let my husband take care of their lunch before they left. Okay, so every step of the way, then just realizing like I have options. I'm choosing my time. Nothing has gone wrong. There's time for everything, okay? So just realizing too that you have choices and you're the one who is also deciding what your thoughts are going to be with those choices. Okay, something that makes us panicked and freaked out, we need to pause, feel the feelings for a second, calm our brain down. Our brain likes to panic and be like, oh, this doesn't feel safe. This doesn't feel safe. This is change. I don't like change. We might die. Okay, so just calm your brain down, be like, it's a basketball game. Nothing's gone wrong. I'm not going to get to go watch my daughter's game. That's okay. Like, we weren't really planning on her going anyway. They'll tell me all about it when they get home. And in fact, she'll probably be more excited because she has somebody to tell it to that hasn't been there. So it's fine. Right. And I also think too, a lot of times realizing, with kids and activities, there's a lot of times now where our kids are starting to have activities at the same time as each other. Okay, so just realizing too that it's okay if things get missed or skipped. It doesn't make me a bad mom. I'm doing the best I can. That's what I tell myself. A lot of times they're not going to remember like the one game that I didn't get to, because I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. We try to, like, if we made it to the last one's thing, we're going to try to get to this one's thing this time. So and if again, if it's hard for you to keep track, like I said, I have 6 kids, I just write it down. I write everything down in my planner so then I can look back and say, no, actually, like, Natalie got to go do this thing last time. I think it's Evelyn's turn. Like, just to make sure that, like, and then talk with them about it. Okay. Like, talk with them and be like, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to your game. How do you feel about that? And most of the time, like, they just want to be recognized too, right? Just like we want to be recognized for our things we do and our work that we do, right? When we make them supper, we just want to be recognized. We know that the kids aren't going to love every meal, but we just want them to like some of the meals, right? We don't want them to complain every meal. That's what gets wore down. So just recognize them and just say, hey, look, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Like, how was it? How are you feeling? Like, what went well? What do you think you can improve on? Like, oh, I'd love to hear more about it. Okay. And then just remember that we're human and we mess up, we fail, things happen, kids get sick, and it's okay. Right? So, if anybody else has any questions, you can put it in the chat quick. Otherwise, I just want to say, like, I coach women one-on-one and Catholic women who work outside the home. If you enjoyed this today and you learned a lot from it, I would love for you to come and book a free discovery call with me so I can dive in and we can talk and I can show you how I can just pinpoint a couple thoughts that are standing in your way of you getting the results you want. So come and chat with me. You can sign up at www.catholicnursecoach.com and I will put that in the chat. And then I will also put that in the link when I post this video if you're watching the replay. So www.catholicnursecoach.com. So if there's no other questions, I like to keep questions, or I like to keep these to about an hour because I do know everybody's busy and the whole point of this was to not waste time. I also want to mention that my next workshop next month, I don't have a date picked yet, but it's going to be on weight loss. So I hope you guys will all tune in for that one. I find that's the one that people are often most curious about and I enjoy talking about. So thank you for joining and don't see any other questions. So maybe one. Any other questions? Awesome. Thanks, Kira. All right. Have a good day. I'm praying for us and let's go change our world.